dry or mature skin and have been looking for the perfect concealer for your under eyes? You are in the right place because this is part 2 of the best concealers for under eyes for dry and or mature skin. In my first video, I tested and reviewed 6 different concealers. And in today's video, we're testing and reviewing 7 different concealers in 7 consecutive days. I put them through the consistency test, the radiance test, the coverage test, the crease test, and the wear test. I also did a split test. So on my left side, I did a loose setting powder. And then on my right side, I did not set it at all. For reference, I am 42 years old with a very dry skin, and I prepped my skin the same for all 7 days. I did not use any color correctors, and I did not use any primers. So let's get right into today's video. All right, today we're going to be testing out the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser. This doubles as a corrector, so it's a corrector and concealer in one. And it was only $10.99, and this is shade 120. And before we get started, right before I started this video, I literally popped myself in the lip with this little rubber band. And I think I broke skin, and my lip is, let's just say, a little swollen. So if you can see that, I don't know if you've ever done that before, just make sure that you have your rubber bands ready before you put your hair up so you're not like trying to open them with your mouth, so you don't do what I just did because that freaking hurt. Anyways, that just happened, so I feel like I should mention it in case you're wondering what is going on with this situation. I do see a lot of influencers use this and swear by this for dry skin and mature skin. So let's go ahead and put it to the test. It definitely looks like it's gonna be nice and natural. It's not too radiant, it's not too thick, it's not too thin. It actually looks like it's gonna have more of a cloud finish. So let's go ahead and apply it like you're supposed to using the applicator. Feels really nice. It seems to be very easy to blend in, actually. Actually super impressed with how nicely that blended in. I like the consistency. It seems like a very nice natural consistency. It seems to cover pretty well. Fortunately, I don't have a ton of dark circles right now, so I'm not needing to conceal dark circles. I do like how it's a little bit brightening, but nothing crazy, nothing unnatural looking. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and blot out any excess product. All right, so far, this looks like it's going to have a very nice cloud finish. It's radiant without being too glowy and too shiny. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little crease test before our setting powder. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set it with the Gibson Girl setting powder. Very lightly dust just the left side. Now I'd say this isn't a super heavy coverage. I can already say that. So if you do have dark circles, you would probably need to build it up and layer it, because I can already tell it's definitely not, it's not full coverage. So, all right, so just setting the left side, leaving the right side natural. Now we'll go ahead and do a crease test with the setting powder. All right, you guys, I will see you back here in a couple of hours for the wear test. And hopefully the swelling on my lip will have gone down by then. All right, you guys, I'm back for the wear test. Before I give my opinion on this concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and do my crease test. Okay, so overall, I actually really am impressed with this concealer, especially for something that costs only $10.99. It is very lightweight. It has a very skin-like finish. If I had to choose between the setting powder side and the no setting powder side, I would definitely go for the no setting powder side. It did not need it. Because it is so lightweight, I do not think that it would be good for somebody who does want to conceal dark circles. Even though it does say it's a color corrector for dark circles, I think even if you applied another coat or even another 2 coats, it's just such a fine, lightweight product that I don't think that it would work for you. So I would skip on it if that's something that is important to you. As far as the radiance test, it's not overly radiant. It is definitely very skin-like. If you wanted a more dewy, glowy look, you could probably go with another concealer, but overall, I definitely would repurchase this concealer again if I was looking for something with very minimal coverage. And I do want to thank everybody in the comments from my original concealer video who said they do not set their concealer. For people who have dry, mature skin, they recommended to not set it. So this would be one of those concealers that you do not need to set, in my opinion. Today we are trying out the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer, and it's supposed to be a brightening and hydrating crease-proof concealer. Go ahead and give this the consistency test. This is shade N4. This is supposed to be a medium coverage. Now, it definitely feels medium to more full coverage just by the feel, and it is supposed to have a matte finish. Now, I'm gonna be careful because I do believe a little bit goes a long way with this concealer. And that was actually probably a little bit much. Definitely a lot much. It's definitely more full coverage in my opinion, even if I would have started off with less, which is good if that's what you're going for sure. I definitely think the name High Glam is a concealer that you would use when you want to have more of a glam look. It seems to blend out very easily for sure, and it definitely covers circles, dark circles. Now it says it has a matte finish, but so far it seems to have more of like a dewy finish. I'm sure if we give it time it would mattify out. This is one that I would definitely recommend blotting out all the extra product so it doesn't settle in your fine lines. All right, so let's do the crease test before I do my setting powder. Now we'll do our setting powder just on the left side. Now we're gonna do our crease test again. And we will be back in a few hours for the wear test. All right, you guys, I am back for the Natasha Denona wear test. So before I give you my final thoughts, I'm gonna go ahead and do my little crease test. All right, so my final thoughts are, it is a little bit more mattifying than I would like, but going into it, I knew it was gonna be a matte concealer. I do like the fact that it does have nice coverage. I like the no setting powder side better than the setting powder side. I do think that the setting powder side would actually look better on camera and in photographs. So this is a concealer that I would definitely reach for if I knew that I was gonna be on film or if I knew I was gonna be in a lot of pictures. It didn't settle in my fine lines, but I don't think it did anything greatly positive for them either, because I do prefer a more dewy, radiant finish, which I think helps enhance my specific skin type. Overall, I can see why this concealer has become so popular. It just wouldn't be the one that I would grab for on a daily basis, but like I said, definitely I would grab for it if I wanted it glammed up and if I knew I was gonna be on camera. So overall, I would purchase this again for certain occasions. All right, we are testing out the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I haven't even opened this. This is a concealer that I cannot believe I'm saying this, that I have never tested out. This is in shade Light 2.3, so hopefully I chose the correct shade for my skin tone. It's also supposed to be a multi-purpose concealer that brightens, corrects, and perfects for up to 16 hours with a creamy, medium to buildable coverage and a natural radiant finish. And this was, well, the normal size is $32 and this little guy was only $15. It's only 7:34 in the morning, so I still have a morning voice and my dark circles haven't had time to dissipate. So we're really gonna put this to test today. Just right off the bat, it looks like a true medium to, definitely more medium to full coverage, and it feels really nice. It doesn't feel, honestly, it doesn't feel too radiant, but that doesn't mean it's not. So far, it looks like I chose the right shade. It actually looks like it's gonna be nice and brightening. For a while there, I was going away from too bright of an under eye, but now I'm kind of a fan of it again. I feel like it does brighten up your face and kind of is a sign of youth in my opinion. And today I'm actually gonna add a little bit more to this little area right here, but I'm gonna let that sit before working it in while I go ahead and work on the other side. I feel like it's one of those concealers that is true to the application. So some of them I put a little bit on and you're like, you know, holy crap, that's a lot of product, and then you have to wipe it off and you end up wasting it. I feel like that went on just like you would expect, is exactly the amount of product that I meant to apply. Patience is key when, you know, getting the amount of coverage you do want, so you're not wiping away the product and then wasting it by adding more. I mean, it's definitely easy to blend in as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and blot out any excess product. This is a very important step, so you don't ever want to skip it. Otherwise, you're asking for the product to settle into your creases. All right, let's do our little crease test before we set it. Onto the setting powder. All right, let's do our little crease test after our setting powder. Now I will see you lovely people in a few hours for the wear test. All right, we are back for the Nars Creamy Concealer Wear Test. Let's go ahead and put it to the squint test. All right, my final thoughts on the Nars Creamy Concealer is I really like it, and I really did put it to the test today. I was out the door super early this morning, and I was at the salon all day for a product knowledge class for one of the brands that we carry at the salon, and then I was running around, and I finally got home, and I was like, wow, this concealer, I put it to the test, and I'm actually very impressed. As far as the setting powder and no setting, I'm so far liking not setting my concealer. Who knew? I did notice throughout the day, you know, I just had to like blot it out a tiny bit, but I much more prefer that than how the powder kind of gives it just, it kind of accentuates, you know, the fine lines. And I'm not normally super picky about looking at my concealer throughout the day, but of course doing this review, you get a little bit more granular when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. So I'm definitely loving the fact that the no setting powder situation is really working for me. I think what I would do in the future is maybe do a setting spray over my entire face. So yes, I would definitely repurchase this Nars concealer, and it would be one that I would wear on a daily basis. And for reference, I did not touch up any of my other makeup except for my lipstick. So just wanted to throw that out there so you could tell that even though my face is a little bit more shiny and my makeup has worn off, I feel like my under eyes really did stay put today. Today we're testing out the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Concealer. This is considered full coverage with a natural finish, and it retails for $36, and this little mini retails for $16. And I purposely chose this one today because I knew it was going to be more full coverage, and I'm definitely working with some under eye circles today, so I figured it would be perfect for what I need today. It's definitely very creamy, and it's definitely full coverage and very lightweight for what it is. It also is a little bit lighter. This is shade Snow, and I did want something that was gonna brighten up my under eyes as well, because I feel like that's gonna give me a little bit more of a awake look, which is what I definitely need. Putting it to the test. Definitely need it right there. And I'm gonna kind of go back and forth with working these in so I can let it sit and get tacky and hopefully have more coverage. And it's definitely light, but as I blend it in, I feel like it'll be perfect for what I need today, which is that brightening effect. Just the last few nights, just didn't get the best sleep. And of course, you know, it's that time of month, so I feel like I get extra tired. Like I went to bed, I'm not even kidding, at like 7 o'clock, and I slept all the way till like, I think 6:15. I needed it. You think with all that sleep, I would look rested. Even though I'm a neutral skin tone, I'm really liking the concealers that have more of a warm yellow tint to it. It's just, I've noticed when I've gone for the more neutral tones, it just doesn't give me that brightening effect that I want. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your concealers. if you're cool tone, you don't necessarily have to be or necessarily have to stay in the cool tone family. And that's what's nice about these little minis is, you know, you can go with like 2 different shades. All right, I'm really liking the way this is looking. I'm hoping that doesn't get crepey and like settle in. Now it is buildable, and just because we do have extra circles today and I wanna see how it looks when you build it, I'm gonna add a little bit more to where I need it the most. I really hope this, like I said, doesn't get crepey because I'm really liking the natural finish. All right, the must have, blotting out with an empty clean brush. All right, so let's go ahead and set it. Actually, before we do that, let's do our crease test. Setting powder. And actually, I'm surprised I actually didn't matte it out too much. So I'm okay with it so far. Let's do another crease test. All right, I'm excited about this. I have high hopes. So I will be back in a couple hours for the wear test. We are back for the Too Faced Concealer Wear Test. And before I give my final thoughts, let's go ahead and do the crease test. All right, so unfortunately, it's not all that I had hoped it would be. This morning when I put it on, I was like, oh, this could be my new holy grail. But unfortunately, as you can see, it just dusted out and matted out way too much. Natural finish, maybe on somebody who has more oily skin, but on me, it did not do me any favors, and I'm sad. I'm a little disappointed because it did have good coverage. I have not touched up my makeup at all, except for my lipstick, and especially because I like a more dewy, radiant foundation. I think it kind of over accentuates the fact that it's really matte, and it definitely just made my under eyes look just a little bit creepy and made me look like I had more fine lines than I actually have, or it just accentuated the ones that I actually have. So unfortunately, this would not be a product that I personally would recommend for anybody who has dry skin or mature skin. Today we are testing out the Tarte Shape Tape in their Radiant version. And this is supposed to be a medium coverage with a radiant finish that's feather light and so bright that it won't hide your freckles or cake your face. And a 12-hour crease proof all day wear, and it's waterproof. So I decided to go with 2 different colors, and I opted for the mini so I could test out which one would be best for my skin tone. And I'm gonna start off with light sand. Then on this side, this is just shade light. Now this side's definitely gonna be a little bit more warm and yellow, and that's gonna be a little more neutral and rosy. And because I am going for more like brightness, I'm gonna opt for the light sand. And it feels nice and very lightweight. I'm also working with some nice under eye circles again today. I woke up with the worst cramps in the middle of the night and could not go back to sleep for like hours. So let's hope this has some coverage, like it says. Definitely a little bit goes a long way, but I'm gonna need all the coverage I can get today, for sure. I like this color so far as well. Let's go ahead and double duty here. Okay, I'm gonna work it in now with my blender, my beauty blender. And I have high hopes for this one too. I really do. I really hope that she works out because so far I like it. I'm gonna need more coverage today though, so I'm gonna go again. So I'm gonna go in with another coat. I'm gonna go ahead and let that sit for a second before I work that in. I like the finish. It's like, hopefully it lasts. So I don't wanna like ruin it, but it looks like it's gonna be like the perfect finish. All right, and this time I'm gonna blot it out with the warmth of my fingers instead of using my brush, in case the brush were to have taken away part of the dewiness. I'm gonna try this instead. I mean, it covered decently well. It's definitely not full coverage, but it'll do. So let's go ahead and do our setting powder. I forgot to do our pre-crease test, but you'll see on this side. Let's go ahead and do our crease test. That's what happens when you don't get adequate sleep. And I like my 9 hours, so when I get only 6, it's asking for it. All right, let's see what this looks like in a few hours. I will be back for the wear test. Before I give you my opinion, let's go ahead and do the crease test. All right, so my final opinion is it is very, very lightweight. It says it's a medium coverage, but in my opinion, it's definitely a very lightweight coverage. It's something that I would wear on a regular basis. I liked, again, the no setting powder side. For future, I would 100% do a setting spray, but to keep all the concealers consistent, I did not use any primers and I did not use any setting sprays. I did want to give it its full 100% authentic opinion. And like I said, on a normal day, it probably would have been just fine enough coverage for me, but today definitely needed something probably with a little more full coverage. It is Sunday, so I was just out running regular random errands like going to the grocery store. So honestly, I probably would have still worn something very lightweight such as this. All in all, I would say this is good for somebody who wants very minimal coverage. It is a very nice natural finish, but if you are somebody who wants to conceal major dark circles, then I would definitely opt for something with more coverage. Welcome back to another episode of which concealer works best for dry or mature skin. I literally feel like we're on a game show and I just had to say that. All right, so today we're testing out the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Perfect Glow Concealer. And I'm really excited to try this out. I have not even opened it. And this was $42. And I chose the shade 4, which is light golden. And it's supposed to be a radiant finish with medium to buildable coverage. It also has caffeine to brighten your under eyes, vitamin E for the reduction of under eye puffiness, and glycerin, which helps provide long-lasting hydration. All right, let's go. All right, a nice chubby little wand. Let's get a little bit more on there. It looks nice and lightweight, very creamy, and I can already tell it looks like I chose the right shade. And can we also talk about how stupid, that I realize how stupid this microphone looks and I need to try to find another solution because it's really ruining my outfits. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start off with a very thin layer. I'm gonna try to be patient, extra patient today, to see if I can get extra coverage, more coverage. And I actually slept much better last night, so don't really have as much under eye circle damage as the last 2 days. So now that I kind of worked that in a little bit, I'm gonna let it sit, but to help speed it up, I'm gonna give it a little fan action. I can already tell, I can feel the caffeine in it a little bit. It gives it that, like, I don't know how to describe it, little tingle, I guess. Yes, I do love the brightness. I'm very happy with the shade I chose. I feel like you always need to go down a shade more than you think. That's what I've learned over the last, week of testing. And I did have to exchange a few, unfortunately. Being extremely patient. But so far I can tell you, I really love it and I knew I would. I just hope it passes the wear test. I mean, it has really good reviews, so I do have high hopes for it, especially for $42. I think it's the most expensive. I'll have to double check and compare. All right, now that's pretty good, but I am going to test out the buildability in the areas where I could use, for sure, more product. Let it sit. All right, I think that is the key, is to let the product really kind of sit in between applications, but also really be patient and let it get tacky before working it in. That is my advice to you. So far, I love it. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do the crease test before I set it. All right, now do the crease test again. All right, I have very high hopes for this. So I will see you guys back in a couple hours for the wear test. All right, we are back for the Giorgio Armani concealer wear test. And before I give my final thoughts, let's go ahead and do our squint test. All right, my final thoughts are, I really like this concealer. This would be a go-to concealer for me for a day-to-day basis. I thought it looked really nice after the second application. If you are somebody that has extremely dark circles or needs more coverage, this definitely would not be the concealer that I would reach for. I would opt for something that was meant for full coverage, but overall, I am very happy with this concealer. Surprisingly enough, the left side and the right side look identical from setting it and not setting it. Overall, this would definitely be a concealer that I would repurchase for the future. All right, welcome to day 7 of my concealer review. Today we are testing out the Tower 28. This is the Swipe All Over Hydrating Serum Concealer that retails for $22. I had originally meant to test this earlier in the week, and the color I originally chose was too dark, so I had to send it back and get a new one. So this shade is shade 3.0 CC. Let's go ahead and test the consistency. This is supposed to be a medium buildable coverage with a natural finish, and it is clean at Sephora. It definitely feels super lightweight, but it looks like it could possibly be buildable. Obviously very creamy, like all of them have been. We're gonna let this sit before working it in all the way, at least. I'm just kind of spread it and then kind of let it sit, marinate for a few. All right, it's been a good solid 20-30 seconds, so I'm gonna work it in. And definitely, that helped because I can tell it thickened it up just by letting it sit. The color seems to match more of what I wanted for my brightness effect. And it seems very nice and blendable. Definitely a medium coverage. Could be the fact that I did really let it sit this time, but yeah, it's definitely medium, like it says. That is good. That is something that I could have used earlier in the week. I definitely like the blendability. Again, I forgot to wet my beauty blender. What is wrong with me? I'm gonna use this to help push it in and then go back in. So far, I'm really liking this coverage, and it's definitely well priced at $22. That's such a good deal considering some of the other ones, you know, are in the 40s, 30s, a lot of them. All right, super impressed so far. I've realized I cannot judge anything too soon, but somebody in the comments from the original concealer video recommended this one, so thank you. Since you recommended it, I'm really hoping that it will pass the wear test because I love the coverage. Actually, so far, this seems to be like the perfect amount of coverage. All right, super impressed. I feel like it had the perfect amount of like tackiness to work in. It wasn't too serumy. It definitely has a nice natural finish without being overly radiant or overly matte so far. But let's go ahead and put it to the crease test. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set it. And this whole time I realized I didn't have to do 2 crease tests because I'm only setting one side. But to stay consistent, we are gonna do it twice. All right, crease test number 2. All right, we will be back in a couple hours for the final wear test. Also, before I go, if you've appreciated the time and effort and expertise that I've put in this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel. Thank you. All right, we are back for our final wear test for the Tower 28 concealer. And before I give you my final thoughts, we're gonna go ahead and do our last crease test. All right, my final thoughts are, I'm very impressed with this concealer. I think that it had the perfect amount of coverage for a daily use. I think that it dried down very nice and natural with the no setting powder. It did get a little bit more matte with the setting powder side, and it kind of accentuated the fine lines on this side, but that's because I'm being very picky when I'm looking at it. Overall, I think this is one of my favorite concealers out of the ones that I tested, and for $22, this is just something that I think is a very affordable option for somebody who's looking for medium coverage, who has dry skin or mature skin. So this is definitely one that I would 100% purchase again. All right, you guys, that is a wrap. Let me know in the comments which one of these concealers that you are excited to try out the most. And if you found this video helpful, definitely give it a thumbs up because it really does help support my channel. And if you don't want to miss out on any more of my videos, definitely make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.